we are going to see a restoration industry emerge, just like we saw a renewables industry emerge. And in 20 years' time, people won't say that was such a crazy thought.
Hi, Clara.
Hello.
So you just facilitated a workshop here in Davos. Can you tell me what was the intent of that workshop?
If you go back 10 years, people were starting to get their head around the idea that we were going to need a massive energy transition. We now need to talk about the land transition. And it's going to be as big as the energy transition. It's inevitable, it's coming. And if you think about it in very simple terms, that more than 25% of global emissions come from how we use our land. But it could have the carbon sequestration potential that would solve for a third of global emissions. So how do we get from where we are today to there?
And so what's next on that agenda to generate and activate that new transition?
Well, this session was looking at that predominantly from a capital markets perspective. What is the role of finance? Private finance, sure, but also public finance to take us there. I think, like it or not, markets function on signals. And actually, the session today was not trying to solve a specific problem. It was trying to lift people and say, this is the year that nature is integrated with the climate agenda and with the people agenda. As we look to COP30 in Brazil, nature's going to be front and center.
Yes.
But actually, it's not just that it's politically interesting this year. The asset owners are starting to move. You're starting to see nature feature in investment mandates and how people think about risk. The companies are there, and a whole selection of companies that are real and they're scaling and they offer solutions. And we had brilliant interventions about how the central banks can play a role.
Yes.
Looking at interest rates, we had interventions around benchmarks and how those need to change. This conversation was not happening 2-3 years ago. So what I wanted the session to do was just create these signals, show people that this is an inevitable transition and it's coming and they need to be prepared. And then to your question on what next, now we need to go from a session like that with the mood is there to what is each individual in that room going to do. And so what I want to see is that the large investors in that room leave and think, I need to talk to all my asset class teams. I need to think about nature in my strategic asset allocation model. I need to do better at understanding the risks that nature poses to my portfolio. And I need to start thinking about how I can use my allocation to drive the opportunities.
Right.
I think the companies need to feel that they are being buoyed by these signals. I think it can be lonely out there when you're innovating, but actually if they can see the dynamics in that room, they will feel fueled to take their businesses to the next level. And the dream, obviously, would be that where you've got these companies that, as Andre would say, are really demonstrating that multi-capital business design is possible, that they leave the room and connect with the investors we had.
I witnessed one of these, I have to say.
Yeah.
So that was quite exciting.
Yeah. I started out my career in renewables. And I remember at the time, people thought I was crazy. It was a long time ago. I remember people saying, well, what, you're putting panels in fields, windmills? How is this ever going to be an industry? And now there's more renewables going in than there is other forms of energy. So there's no question that that is now mainstream. And I think we are going to see a restoration industry emerge, just like we saw a renewables industry emerge. And in 20 years' time, people won't say that was such a crazy thought.